Business over drinks. Business over drinks. This is Dave and Tom. This is business over drinks.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Business Over Drinks. My name is Tang and I'm calling in from Singapore.
Hey, my name is Dave and calling in from Brisbane, Australia. Welcome to Business Over Drinks. And we've got a very interesting topic for you today. Like, have you ever wanted to be a millionaire or have you ever thought of wanting to be a millionaire? I guess most people now want to be billionaires, but I'm sure there's still a small number of people out there who still wouldn't mind $1 million. So, Tony and I have been lucky enough to have accrued over $1 million in the lifespan of our businesses. So I no longer run mine, but Tone still does. And we have some very honest insights for you as to what it actually means to have $1 million, what it's actually like.
A couple of things that I think we need to kind of quantify and qualify first, right? So when we say millionaire, I think we're talking about revenue made within a year, maybe a 12-month period. So we look at that as your financial year. And it doesn't mean that you have $1 million in your bank. It just means that you made $1 million and what that means, right? So if you have a good business, a proper business that's actually making profit, then $1 million means that you're actually making profit on, probably making profit on top of that, right? So let's not think about gross profit. Let's think about net profit. Gross profit is cost of goods or services minus that. It's like you take the revenue minus cost of goods and services and cost to sell them as well. Net profit is after taxes, everything else is taken away whether you actually have any cash remaining in the bank, right? So we're looking at your net profit. I mean,
The,
can I just say something right off the bat, man? It sucks. Like it sucks. Making $1 million in the year is not as awesome as it is. It's not terrible. It's not like the worst thing. It's not like making no money, but it sucks. There's a lot of work. I think you told me something really interesting, Dave, that you were sad. You're sad after you made $1 million.
I'll go into that more soon. But yeah, there is, as you said at the start, like there's a huge misconception of what it is to be a millionaire and what it is to be a billionaire, right? A lot of people think if you're a billionaire, you've got just $1 billion cash in your bank and you're ready, you can spend it right away. Same with being a millionaire. If someone's net worth is a few $1 million or they're called a millionaire, it doesn't necessarily mean they can just go out and spend $1 million. A lot of instances, it's just the value of their assets, their value of their brand. It is the value of their company, and they're instantly labeled. Even just owning and having a paid off house can make you a millionaire nowadays. So having a million cash is very different to being a millionaire sometimes. Anyway, yeah, as Tone was saying, yeah, man, it sucked. So having made when we looked at our bank and we realized we'd made $1 million, right? We were like, "Fuck, I'm still I'm still so tired. I'm so stressed." So what people don't realize is that firstly, to be making $1 million a year, you need to be earning. Your company needs to be earning over $80,000 a month. But a lot of that went into our expenses. A lot of that went into paying our employees. A lot of our employees were getting paid more than we were, and the amount of stress you need to go through to get to that level for us anyway in our business structure. I'm sure there'll be geniuses in business out there who do this much more efficiently than we did. But for us anyway, and for our situation, it was a lot of stress to get through and to maintain and to increase. I'm sure at some point it got easier and easier, but at the start, it was immense amounts of stress and you don't feel it. So that's about, I'll talk about the good part of it soon, but yeah, that's the bad part of it. Like it didn't feel like you made $1 million. It felt like
Yeah,
we need to survive and we need to keep swimming or else we won't be able to pay the employees tomorrow.
yeah. So I think one of the biggest misconceptions, and you hit the nail on the head, man, is the fact that when people think you made a million in revenue, they think you've made $1 million. What you have is you've made $1 million that probably isn't fully in the bank as yet, because a lot of it is money that's due to you, and that people are going to pay in a bit because they're 30-day cycles, 60-day cycles. Sometimes if you're lucky, they pay up front. That's very rare from a B2B business, for example. But it's $1 million in revenue that's accrued for the year, the financial year. So that it's very different than what people who don't run a business or don't handle the financials of a business think $1 million is. right? If we're talking about valuation, then yeah, for sure, valuation is much higher than $1 million. Jay's valuation at that point when he was running his business much higher than $1 million. Now his valuation is like minus 50,000, but that's fine. That's just the same.
50 million minus 50 million.
Yeah, Dave goes hard. There's literally no in between for Dave.
Just gamble,
Nothing or
gamble it all
everything.
away.
That's him. That's him in a nutshell. But yeah, I mean, like the first time you make a million is kind of the hardest, to be very honest, because you kind of like you're really struggling to push through. You're not as efficient as you can be. You're kind of making putting shortcuts here and there, and then it's a fine balance between making a million and being able to sustain that million, because making a million is actually, it's not easy, but it's not as difficult as making a million and then sustaining that growth or sustaining that level of revenue for a long period of time, so years, right? Because everyone thinks that you make a million, yes, but that can literally disappear. That money could disappear from your bank in like 30 days. Like it's just gone. Expenses, everything else, and then if you're not making any money coming in, it doesn't matter. So I think a lot of people don't think of it as a case of how do we make it sustainable. They think about it as how do we actually just reach a target and then like forget about it. So well, the way I looked at it, at least in my business, which was really stressful, was ARR, annual recurring revenue. We didn't look at it as a revenue target that we just had to hit and then we'll plateau or we'll dip. We looked at it as, can we keep this as recurring revenue, and that was what the value was growing out to be. Annual recurring revenue to me is kind of the most important measurement that you should be looking at, especially as an early stage company, or if you're not going to you don't plan on making a multi-billion-dollar business. ARR is critical because that is a really good indicator whether you have a sustainable growing business. And that $1 million mark that we talk about all the time, and like a lot of business owners and a lot of SME owners and everyone just talks about that mark, is kind of not as relevant as you think it is. The moment you get there, you're like, all right, what's next? Like I realize I'm coming out sounding really flippant and like just kind of not ridiculing, but trivializing the actual, like a really big monumentous milestone for a lot of businesses. But there are more important things. I think I value sustainability in growth rather than actual like high growth numbers.
Unless you're trying to sell it and you're trying to fudge the books or make the
What do you
books
think,
more
man?
impressive. Then you just multiply everything. Unless growth is a factor for you to show to investors, then you want to show growth. But if you're running a solid business and you want to still be the owner and you're still trying to go through the miles, then yeah, I completely agree.
So when we first started our business and we were looking at, can we hit $1 million as revenue, right? We had really few people in the company. I think we had maybe like 4 or 5 people in the company when we hit our first million, like $1 million ish type revenue for the year. It was pretty intense actually, because I remember the team, like we didn't celebrate anything, we didn't talk about anything. Everyone just kind of like hit to the ground. We were just doing work. I don't think I was sleeping at that point. I was like just running around in circles all the time. I don't see that as being a good way to run a business that is sustainable and that is profitable, at least from my side. So I guess when we talk about this $1 million mindset, right, or this $1 million revenue goal that we're looking at, or like like $1 million cash, it's amazing. I think it puts just a really big unreasonable expectation on the business owner and unreasonable expectation on the team to meet the business owner's goals while still making it a profitable company, while still making it a company that you want to work for. So yeah, I mean, you got to figure out what you want to do as a business owner.
Yeah, I'll tell you the good thing about having made a million. So all the stresses aside, in that I remember when I first was interested in starting a business, I thought, wow, if I could only make $100,000, this would be great. And when we finally reached the $1 million mark, it was a good milestone in my life to say, even though I didn't have much cash in the bank, to say that we built a business that was able to generate that much revenue and to generate over $80,000 a month was a big milestone for me internally anyway. And I celebrated it with some friends, even though we didn't feel the money. it was still good to know that we're able to get that milestone, and that it was possible because I grew up with the knowledge that that kind of revenue is only applicable to athletes, famous people, people who are born rich
Yeah.
and stuff. So for me to have accomplished that, I thought, yep, anything is possible now. Because when I was young, I thought that was impossible for someone like me. So I was pretty, I was still a little bit happy, even though the real cash wasn't there. I was still happy we reached that milestone.
I mean, yeah, it's different perspectives, right? And I think the interesting thing is because it is different perspectives, we are looking at it. It doesn't mean any one of it is wrong. We just see it completely differently. But I think
Yep.
it depends on the person's kind of experience with it. Interesting enough, even I was surprised when you first hit your like big revenue targets, because and no, it's not an insult. I just didn't think you could do it, and I just didn't think that you would.
It's an, you tell me that every day, man. It's an insult. You say, "Hey, Dave, you ready for an insult? You can't do it. You're a failure. You're weak. You ugly."
Yeah, no, it's true though, man. Like not about you being weak or a failure, but it's just true. everyone. I just want to say this again, right? Because I think I
This
said
is
this on the
cyberbullying, everyone.
everyone thinks that I bully Dave. Dave says the worst stuff. The moment we're on camera, suddenly Dave's the nicest guy in the world. But the
If
moment
something
we turn
happens to me, you guys can clip this and just use it like as a headline. Turns a perfect example of cyberbullying.
don't do that. But also, like, I just want to be very clear. Like, Dave is the bully out of the two of us. I'm just very honest. Or like, I'll make a joke and that's it. Dave would just go really deep into it and just really hold a grudge for like 20 years, and then one day he'll just come and stab you in the side.
The way you make me feel is just, I don't know, like I'm being unheard, like I'm not important to you, you know? Look, are you tired of struggling with design software?
Or hiring underwhelming designers?
Then it's time to try Yeti.
With .yet, you can get top-notch design work without actually even lifting a finger.
You know, you just submit your brief and let a team of professional designers work their magic.
You know the best part? It won't break the bank, David. It's really,
I
really
can't believe you said
affordable.
break the bank. Anyway, so if you want to step up your branding game like a boss, like me in turn, give Yeti a shot.
Yeah, make sure that you go to our website, businessover_drinks/offers, OFFERS, to see how it works.
Do this .com/offers.
I don't care, man. businessover_drinks.com/offers.
Trust us, you won't be disappointed.
Unless you actually don't like having a team of really talented designers doing your work for really free or cheap, not free, cheap, then maybe you will be disappointed. Who knows?
This is what you get when we have a scripted ad. But you know what it is. Yeti lets you have a team of talented designers for the cost of less than one. All right, that's pretty much what it does. Check it out. So if you need some professional level design work, but you don't want to pay an agency, you don't want to pay an overpriced person, businessoverdrinks.com/offers.
Yeah. 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 For
All
sure.
right, we're going off on a tangent. So that's my rant about making $1 million.
I think we just want to kind of share some of our views on it because it was something that we both discussed here, and it was interesting. We had this conversation. We thought, okay, this is really interesting, so let's share it with everybody else who listens. So hey, mom, hey, dad, basically just kind of share our thoughts on it because we've both kind of we've reached a milestone in business throughout our careers that isn't, it isn't what you think it is.
I mean, there are obviously always exceptions to the rule, but generally, it's not. It's a lot. It's not like what you see in social media. It's not instant Lamborghinis. It's not instant fine dining. It's a lot of work, years of hard work, and then a lot of more torture and more hard work until you can finally start relaxing. So that's the typical pathway to it. Sign up to a newsletter. We send our newsletter people some great stuff. So go to businessoverdrinks.com or like and subscribe to any social media channel you'll find us on. Just search Business Over Drinks. All your support goes a long way. Helps us bring fantastic guests. So thanks, everyone.